Back in order, it is 7:34. This is the continuance of the first budget workshop, and we are going to discuss solid waste collection, which is garbage. Just because it's in our book. It's on page 65. Excuse me while I eat my cookie.
Yep, he's here. He's back with us. Okay.
Mostly it's a pass-through. We collect the money, we pay them. They collect the garbage, we collect the money, we give it to them. There's an administrative assistant, only 20% that goes in there. Other than that, it looks like it's been reduced by 126%. I don't know how we did that. The general over
the retirement.
Ah,
no,
there's a bit. Is that what it is? Let me look real quick.
Not for $829.
Yep, that's it. Retirement and the bad debt charge off. Okay, so we're gonna move. Is it self-supporting? I mean, we're not losing money, are we?
Mr. Bloom, that's you.
Yeah, no, it's basically intended to balance to zero, to net to zero, and that's kind of what it's doing right now. And then we'll have to kind of see what, the fuel upcharge will obviously affect it moving forward. But even then, it should always be set to kind of net to zero.
Right, because it'll be a pass-through. Okay.
Correct.
All right. If everybody's happy with that, we'll move to stormwater, which is the next page, page 66. Mr. Bishop.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a new department we're trying to introduce. Some of you maybe well or know that the House Bill 503 is an unfunded mandate with new regulations we have to follow. Best of my knowledge, City of Williston is the only one that turned it in and on time within the whole Levy County, including Levy County. This will open up for grants, open us for a lot of points for grants. And so what we're asking for is $50,000, and we'll use that for storm drains and swells and so on and so on. In the future, obviously, what is it, the 5-year mark, we'll try to increase it by 50, and then so on and so on. But for now, it'll help us with the grant market, which is just ungodly and valuable for us right now.
Okay, and is the $50,000 for grant matches?
Yes, ma'am, and we can't put in for the grants if we don't have this in place pre-grant.
Okay, so we have to actually have a separate section of the budget. And
absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Approved at a budget hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. So that's why we separated it out from where it was before.
Yes, ma'am. And the labor will be supplied by Streets and Parks, but the material side of it will be supplied by this.
And who did we turn the plan into the report into?
Walt Nichols with Wright Pierce.
They had till June 30th to compile it and send it to Levy County. And then Levy County was required as a county government to send it into the state to fulfill House Bill 53 requirements.
And we're the only one in Levy County?
In the entire Levy County, including the county.
Okay, that should make us pretty open for grants.
Absolutely.
All right. So, are we completely through with utilities?
If you would like.
If I would like. As far as I know, we're through we're through all the utilities, right? All right, so, the next, anybody have anything in the overall for utilities? Mr. Bloom, do you have anything to add when it comes to the entirety of utilities?
I did want to mention that the budget as it stands right now would be transferring from the utility fund $925,000. That number is subject to change as we kind of work through the balance of the general fund and some of the requested increases, but that's the number as it stands right now.
Thank you so much. There's your number, Mr. Witt. I knew we'd get there.
Isn't that from the electric fund primarily?
Uh-huh. That was from all utilities.
That's all of the utilities.
I didn't think the other utilities were making a profit.
It's primarily electric, but it's all of them. And if you looked at each individual section, it will show you what the transfer amount is. Okay, so.
Ms. Jones.
Yep, who said that? Mr. Bishop?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say with conversations with Stephen, we are presenting you a balanced budget at this time.
With utilities.
You mean the
With
whole
utilities.
budget or utility? budget?
Utilities.
I was starting to say.
No, ma'am, just
Don't
utilities.
get me excited here, my heart's fluttering. Okay, so are we finished with Public Works? Is everybody happy with what we've got? And Mr. Bloom's gonna bring us back comparisons with what we saw. Okay. We are now moving to Human Resources. Somebody help me with that. I don't know if it's in general fund, I know that much. Find it. The person that finds it on the page, let me know. Yeah. Ms. Rollins, he said the person who finds it gets a cookie.
26.
Get that man a cookie.
All the
There's
cookies
one.
are gone.
Oh, man.
I'm definitely not the one to
Mayor says there aren't any cookies left.
I didn't eat it.
I got some stale ones in my car.
Them donuts, yeah.
T6.
Those are donuts, yes. They're donut holes.
This one's a little tough. I don't quite know where to start.
Should we skip it and come back?
No, well,
I can speak on. I know that there was some sort of. Mr. Mills, you may know this. Is the ADP program we were talking about in here?
That is in that,
Is it the
that
$36,000?
is in that budget, yes, at the very bottom.
Yeah.
I think it's the $36,000 at the bottom.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. I, for one, am not interested in that at all at this time.
I agree.
I think if we want to do it, we want to add it to the module we're getting over here. That costs much less, is according to what I'm hearing. Now, I've used ADP before, it's a good program, but it is expensive. It also has individual modules that you can start with one and add and grow as you go, but it is expensive. Florida Farm Bureau uses that program. I'm very familiar with it. But I, for one, can make a cut right there of $36,000. We were discussing that over.
And I agree,
Yeah,
I think that
I
is.
think
you
we're
know,
all in consensus that at this time
Everybody
it's
agree with
not,
that up here?
it's not
I
a
think it will
feasible
do the same
expense.
thing for us as a city. And Celine, I believe that you and I were discussing it, that if it does the same exact thing for our timesheets and that aspect of what we were looking at trying to move forward with as a city, I think the only thing it would not do is just process the payroll, which we already have the processes in place to be able to do that
Right.
without ADP.
Right. Okay, so there's $36,996. We're trying to save money here. Okay. I'm also looking at salaries and wages. I don't understand that part either. How can it be 436% increase?
I can speak to that. Because before, at the last budget, we did not have a HR director.
Correct.
We had a,
And
I mean, we've
Well,
had an
no,
HR
well,
was
I tell you-
under a different budget because it wasn't
it was
HR
allocated out of others, I believe.
out of
It
admin.
was kind of like the IT was, it
Okay,
was
so
a
they
little
moved
here, a
it all
little
back
there,
into here, is what
and
they-
now
Yes,
it's
and they
into
separated
its own.
everything out.
Is
So
that
when
correct,
I was,
Mr. Bloom? You moved it all back into this one area?
Yes, that basically, it's a combination. I mean, I'd say all of the above because there wasn't the HR director at the current salary in prior budgets, and it was included in a different department, and it was allocated across a lot of funds. This way, moving forward, it's all going to be in one spot. When you start doing it, year over year, you won't see those large types of variances.
Okay, I would comment there may be other changes we can make in this area at a later date on our second hearing. But at that time, I think that's about what we can do in this area. Everybody agree with that? Yes. Okay. So, or maybe, Mr. Bloom, you have any further comment on the HR area?
The only comment I wanted to make, and it can be addressed in your next workshop, is part part of that 36,096, as I think somebody mentioned it there, was to actually process payroll. It wasn't just processing plus the software. So a piece of that might have to come out and be handled differently, based on how the city wants to move forward. If you remember correctly, part of what the city manager was looking to do was to pull the payroll piece out of the Infomart contract and bring it in-house, and this was one of the ways that would be done. So by doing it through ADP. So it just might mean we might not be able to pull the full amount over it. It might need some additional discussions. I wanted to mention it so it wasn't a surprise later on.
Understood. And I don't believe this is the full price of is this the full price of the software also? I'm looking at Mr.
Yes, that's everything. That would be process payroll as well as what is called workforce, which is the additional piece that I think, again, I heard some folks mention about, the timesheets and the different things. So I think we would need to go back through the quote from ADP and pull it out so that the pieces that you are not looking to do can come out properly or be, utilized. ADP's got a whole different range of services, and we'd probably find something a lot cheaper than using that full module.
Okay. Yeah, it is a great module. I mean, like I said, I input payroll and kept track of people's vacation and sick time. And in my department, there were only 14 people. It was just our division. And I used it regularly to do that. And of course, there were hundreds of people in the whole program. But that was just my little division that I kept track of for them every month. Ms. Willett.
I just have a question for Stephen. If the city chooses not to do the ADP, and we go back to having, say, Lori using the services from Infomart to be able to do our payroll, is that still something that is on the table for us to be able to do with you?
Oh, no. Our scope, like it always is basically at the will of the council. Those were the requested changes when this budget process started, and you guys are more than willing and able to make those changes whenever you want.
To continue as we are now.
Correct.
To go back to using the
they
process
are
has
processing
changed,
it.
but they are processing the payroll, but
Yeah.
the timesheets and all of that are being done. It's a different process right now. So in
Right.
the future, if we choose to go back to the way we did prior, then that's an option that we do have.
I know what you're saying, but I think someone here would still have to review all the payroll sheets before they were given to them.
Prior to
I realize
this
they didn't
division, Infomart is the one who processed. We, as department heads, timesheets were approved through the department heads and then sent to Infomart to
Right.
process. And if there were questions
Then
or
we'll have to-
issues,
we'll have to make a
we
decision
dealt with
on
it.
that
Yes,
then.
ma'am. So we do still have that
Because I know
option.
the HR director has been reviewing all of those before they were
Yes.
sent to Infomart.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll have to make a decision how we want to continue to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see a hand over here? No? No hand? Any questions on processing of payroll work? Okay, so we're gonna pull out all of that we can, Mr. Bloom. And we
Understood.
understand that some of it will have to be there if you're gonna resume those duties. Okay. I think that takes care of HR for right now. IT. You finally made it to IT. So we have to find it too.
Page 32.
Good job, Aaron.
Only because I had it ready.
I was ready to pull the trigger.
Actually, there's a, method to the madness. Is everybody happy they got something to eat and home, not hungry?
Yeah, see, we did that on purpose, didn't we?
Yeah, kind of. Not really, but I think it was Latricia's idea. I don't have a lot to say about it, being this is a new department and we started last year with literally no budget. And Stephen pretty much explained what we did as we pulled the items from the other departments and created our initial budget numbers. And then as we have progressed through the year, we have extended it with more detail, more line items, broken it out a little bit more, and we're constantly adding and changing to it. But the numbers themselves are pretty much going to stay the same. we're at a balance at this point and not looking for anything other than the capital improvement we talked about the additional new software for the whole city. And I think there's a capital improvement option of
Computers in the car.
trying to make sure we have extra conduits in the ground and such when we do underground work, just for future expansion.
Right.
Instead of having to come back and do it later.
Computers
Right.
in the car.
And so that's in capital, it's not in the
Computers in
current
the cars,
budget.
that's paid for it, right?
Yeah. there's
You already
the
paid for that.
We just need the printers, please.
Yeah, we need the printers.
We'll talk about that.
Does that have to do with the fiber optic?
Yes, we're working on that we're also working on a grant and a design implementation to get a design from the engineer firm to wire the whole city. We have to have a design in place before we can go after the grants to try to pay for it.
So the amount of money in here for the design phase is not currently in the budget.
That is currently not in the budget.
It's in capital.
It's in the capital improvement.
Right.
Page 75.
Yeah, that's a different
Well,
page.
I'm-
But other than that, as far as my budget part on this
I'm in
page,
a different handout.
nothing's really changed since last year.
We have a handout from the last budget hearing, it's got it in it, it may be back here too, in 75. So yeah, same page, actually. Yep. Okay, so the $60,000 that's in here as software, subscriptions and maintenance.
That is basically the Life 360. Oh, sorry. The current ADG that's gonna kind of go away as we transition.
Okay, so it's the old ADG
The
that we're
old-
trying to get rid of.
CAD software for the police
RMS.
department, RMS for the police department, the
So,
Office 365, the Google Gmail, or Google Works they use for their
Fire department.
fire department and the police. So it's kind of citywide software, all grouped into one.
So if we wanted
Category.
to add the Edmunds Gov Tech, this is where we would need to add it.
I think so, correct, Stephen?
Yes, that's where we would add it in the, basically, like a lot of the other departments, we would add a capital project / outlay category, and that's where it would go into.
Okay.
And just like everything, it would be again split across the different funds. It would not just be a sole general fund expenditure.
Oh, I'm sorry. 32. Okay, so now we're back to discussing this program again. Because this is where we need to instruct Mr. Bloom whether or not to add this. We saw the $117,343.20 outlay for the initial outlay. I think he said that, if I understood him correctly, it's about $60,000 on a yearly subscription after that.
On this budget, it's $60,093.
Except that's something different now.
Different.
The ADG is what they want to get rid of, what they want to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah, 60,093, you're right. Must be the amount of the subscription. Yes, annual.
We will have to get the information on adding the HR into.
Right,
And then
there'll probably be some additional costs
gave
for
us
the HR module.
They gave us a rough estimate of an additional $5,000 to $7,000 for that module,
For the payroll module.
for the payroll module.
And what does the payroll module do?
It has a independent file per employee, electronically stores all their information, certificates, and it only allows HR and the department director to access that. And there's a second element where the employee can go in and look at their own stuff, would have a login.
It's a lot like ADP.
Absolutely, and if we wanted to go to a free geo program, we can clock in. So all that's integrated into it, and as they said, it was between $5,000 and $7,000, depending on how extensive we wanted it to be. Also wanted to remind, Stephen mentioned earlier, that the initial startup cost, which was the $117, because of it's citywide, there is definitely an availability for ARPA funds too, so that we wouldn't have to swallow it on a whole basis.
At least the first year.
Correct.
That's the one thing we have to remember. We have to pay for it the first year for the initial outlay. That we could use the ARPA funds for. But the $60,000 subscription, that would be an annual, and I think it's $60,093 or something like that.
But you would save on
The ADG would come out.
ADG and all the others that, other than police and fire.
Right. That other things would come out. And we've also heard from staff that it might save on some, it's definitely more efficient, offers things to the customer, to the people, to the builder who's going to do contracting, just everything. That
It
would
also-
save time, make it more efficient. I'm seeing Mr. Cox with his light on down here.
Well, I think too, earlier you said it would also save labor-wise,
Yes.
because employees won't, department heads or whatever won't have to spend as much time working on it. It's all done computer, it's all
Yeah.
click.
Yeah, as they explained it to me, let's say, Laura explained it better than anybody I'd heard. Would you explain it to me
Yes, ma'am.
again, so everybody can hear it?
Yes, ma'am. With the permitting and the building that is going on in the city right now, there's a good chance that we would have to hire another permit tech in the next few years. Instead of that, we could actually reduce our permit tech's position to a part-time possibly in the next few years and use her in other areas that are needed. So we could at least not hire somebody and possibly reduce workforce.
Yeah.
Also, it's much more accurate. ADG, as you have seen in some of our audits, is not always calculating correctly, and this one is much more, it's working a lot better for the other cities.
Yeah.
So we won't have those mistakes anymore.
And I think you explained to me that it pulls up essentially the location.
Right
Instead of having to
now.
look at 5 or 6 places to find all the components, it will all be right here.
Right now, if Mr. Cox called and said he had a problem with something, if we had to use multiple parts of ADG, we would actually have to go to multiple modules, and not everybody has access to all of those modules. So you go from one staff member to another staff member to another staff member. This especially is true when we're doing just simple title searches. Instead of just somebody answering the title search in 10 minutes, they go from 2 to 3 to 4 different departments to go up to your modules. I think we get paid $15 or $30 for a title search. We're losing money on them because we have to go, and we even have to go to department heads because your module has a different part of that title search. Because we have code enforcement, permitting, and we have other things on there. It's just going to be so much easier.
And this one pulls up the location and it gives you all of those things in one place
Mhm.
without having to go to all the different people.
Yes, ma'am, and the other way to look at it
Much
too
more
is
efficient.
when
And
you want
time.
to do a turn on, the person who's doing a turn on knows of all the back bills have been paid, the permits have been paid and all that at the same time without having to run through City Hall to figure it out. And another way to look at it is, if you, like this month, we only had 13 turnoffs, but 13 times the truck had to run to do that, come back to City Hall to get a work order to run and do that. So it's fuel and time and wear and tear and maintenance that you're saving on the vehicles.
Yeah, and the field person could pull this up on a remote
And not have to come back in.
pad and
Exactly.
see what new work orders came up that day.
Okay, I guess my question is to somebody, whether Mr. Bloom or whoever, how much does ADG cost us that we could deduct from this $60,000 annual subscription?
It's about $10,000.
Okay, so it's 50,000 more than what we're currently using, but it's way more efficient.
Yeah, plus, the additional HR payroll will probably make it closer to about 55.
Okay,
Another way you could look at it too is if Chief Lamar calls and says he has a house fire, it's a 20-second delay on the turning the power off versus sending the truck out to do it.
Which may save us on our insurance. May save our citizens on insurance. It will. It will.
There's, the possibilities are almost endless with the advantages of this software.
okay, so what, obviously we all would
Had
like
my
to have
coffee.
it, but do we have the money to pay for it?
I don't think so.
If we can find it through, did you say ARPA funds?
Yes, sir.
Well, we can only use that once, not for the initial install. After that, it's still a $60,000 a year annual payment.
Well, we can stay in Bedrock, or we can stay in the 21st century. And through the different things that they were saying, the different departments that it would save, that cost savings is going to make up for that.
I really want it, but I don't know if I can pay for it.
Council, if I could make another suggestion, you know, we were talking about rate changes and fee changes. Earlier, we spoke about just adjusting and make sure we're not losing money on replacing water meters and power meters and all those types of things. If we just get those fees corrected and we don't have those losses going out for repairs and new builds, I mean, right there, you're talking a significant amount of money. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but it's got to be close.
Meaning savings.
And to what we're talking about when you're referring to that type of savings. So I mean, the revenue side of it, which is slowly being corrected, is going to make a huge difference. And so if you have productivity increase and better customer service, and then you also stop the shortfall of revenue loss, it's kind of a formula together that we hope will show a clear picture by the end of next year.
Madam President, if I may, this is not a fly-by-night type of software. They have a lot of options for us. If you would allow us, could we go back and ask them if they can give us some cost savings that they've seen from other cities before the next budget, so we can give you a better number
Sounds
of
like a
how it's
wonderful idea.
working for other people?
Yes, I would love to have it. I hear my staff telling me we need it. I hear other council members saying it's going to bring us to the 21st century, and I agree with that. We just have to find the money to do it. So yes, if they can help us with that, that would be very helpful.
Anybody else agree with that? I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
Yeah. I'd love to do it too, but I don't know where we're gonna get it.
Well, also too, with all the new development in homes, you're gonna have people moving in who maybe is using something like this, and they come here and they're like, okay, I can't pay online, I can't do this, can't do that.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about customer service.
I mean, even just being able to set it up so that it's an automatic payment. It's good for us, it's good for them. It's always paid, don't neglect it.
Yes, ma'am, and think about how much busier we are getting, and instead of hiring another customer service person to be out there, this is gonna be your third customer service person, so you're saving on that salary and insurance and benefits every year, so. We'll try and bring you some better numbers for the next budget meeting.
And Mr. Bloom, if you have any idea where we could get that $60,000 to $65,000 annual payment. Oh, I know you can't, you're not a mind reader, but if you have any ideas, let us know.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think the idea of bringing back some tighter numbers is probably your best course.
Yep.
Just keep in mind, when you get your next version of the budget, there are plenty of other departments and areas that you have requested to put in,
Yeah.
that there's going to be some more similar decisions where, can I keep this, can I keep that, do I have to reduce this? So, there's some larger questions looming, and this will just have to be one of them.
Exactly. Okay.
Oh, President Jones, one last thing. As those hard decisions need to be made by council, Public Works does want to make it clear that we don't want programs to sacrifice needs that are critical in other departments that are needed. So we're not fighting for it so hard that we want to harm anybody else in that process. So, just wanted to state that.
Y'all are so good.
There's always
Y'all
next
playing
year.
together
I
like
appreciate
like
that.
the
always next
Thank you for that.
I could get my modules and make it.
All right, I think we have made it through the IT.
Yes.
I
think we made it through the whole budget. Mr. Bloom, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Mr. Tricia, I see you moving down here. Mr. Cox?
Cox had something he wanted to bring up.
Okay. Let me hang tight. Is it in general fund that we've already discussed?
No,
I mean, did we discuss it last time?
no. Special events.
I know, did we talk about special events last time? I don't want to back up, is what I'm trying to say.
If we did, it went quick. It wasn't even opportunities to do that.
So you think it's an area we haven't discussed?
So maybe we
If we
did.
have discussed it already, I don't wanna back up till the next meeting. I know I'm
Okay.
being picky there, but,
All right, I don't think that we did, but that's me.
well, what page is it on, do you know?
Well, it was back.
It's on 40.
I think it- there you go.
We talked about library and then today we skipped over special events.
But it's in general fund, didn't we do all of general fund last time?
Yes,
I thought we did.
yes.
Who said that? Thank you, I thought we did, I thought
To,
we
to be
finished.
fair, you did cover special events, but you only covered the special events that were specifically under the clerk's budget. You didn't do it broadly in the general sense.
Well, those are the only ones we do.
Until today.
I mean, what I'm saying is, if we've already discussed it in general fund, I'm not wanting to back up or deviate from this agenda.
Okay, then I'll bring it up at,
You know, this agenda is what I'm trying to finish. This is the second half of the first budget hearing. So at our next budget hearing, which we're gonna talk about next, everything's back on the table. And that's where we start adding or cutting or whatever we're doing. Okay, so, everybody okay with that? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, since this is the second
I mean, it's
half
not
of the
done. We're still
continued
gonna
agenda.
discuss it, so-
Yeah, it's definitely not done. Okay, so, at this point, I do have something, a question. Danny, he's in general fund. And we are gonna bring that. And there are a couple of things in general fund that we wanna bring back. Perfect. What we need to discuss, Mr. Bloom and I were talking about it earlier today. We need to set a next hearing date. We're supposed to meet on Tuesday, August the 23rd, which is this week coming. I don't know if he's gonna have time to prepare that between now and then with what we've given him last time, as well as what we've given him this time. Do y'all wanna stick with August the 23rd? Or do you wanna find another date? There are possibly some other elements that we need to know about as well, that we may not know about then.
Yeah, it might be good to push it 2 weeks.
I think so too. Let's look at our calendars. Mr. Stiegel.
My suggestion with pushing it back would be, would we have enough time to accomplish 2 hearings in the time to actually execute the budget?
We would not move the hearings.
Okay.
At least what Mr. Bloom and I were talking about earlier. Y'all get your calendars up here.
We have September 13th and September 29th.
We already
I have it written down.
Yeah, we have a budget set for the 13th and the 29th.
Right.
Yes, those are our, so we've got to do it before the 13th.
Right.
And if we move, to possibly the 30th, or the 29th,
Or the first, even Thursday.
or even Thursday, September 1st. Mr. Bloom, is that,
I am available on any one of those days.
September 1st is a Thursday?
September 1st.
Uh-huh.
Thursday.
Oh, that's good. Everybody look at September. Mr. Bloom, you too, September 1st.
Yeah, I'm available.
How the rest of y'all looking out there?
We ain't got no choice, we're good.
You're at your mercy.
We're talking about moving our
What's
meeting.
better for everybody, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all 3 are good for me. So is there a particular day?
September
that
1st.
works?
I would prefer not Wednesday.
Okay.
Remember, that's a holiday weekend too.
I'm lost.
Yes.
Oh, if we get into Friday, it is, yeah.
Yes, just do that.
You wouldn't wanna
pay us 2.5 times.
We have on the 30th. On the 30th, we have a general employee pension committee meeting, and we also, I think they canceled that. And they moved it to September, didn't they? Yeah, never mind. I think.
September 1st sounds good.
Yes, everybody look at September 1st, does that work? So we're canceling the one for August the 23rd, and we're moving to the 1st, so Mr. Bloom has more time to work on it.
Time.
Who said that?
I did.
Yes, Chief Deagle.
What time?
So, college football possibly.
You tell me.
on
5:30.
Would you 5?
Let's do 5.
Mr. Bullock, can you
Thursday
make it?
night, sometimes it is college football.
You make it.
Oh, my
So
Can you make it?
five's always tougher for me. 5:30, let's do 5:30. At least that way I can get somebody there to watch my daughter.
Okay, September 1st, 5:30.
All right.
September the 1st. That's a Thursday. Thursday, September 1st, 5:30 p.m.
Be done before 7.
Say 8 o'clock.
Actually, let's move that up to 5. I'll find somebody to get it. Let's get that
All right, so.
Football, daughter. Somebody sit home for 30 minutes by
Do you not have a VCR?
Okay,
You
so
can't
now
record.
we're
That's a VCR.
Thursday, September 1st at 5 p.m., just like we were. No, we were
5:30.
5:30 today.
5:30.
We were 5.
We're now 5 o'clock. He's moved back to 5.
On that Thursday. That's pretty-
He's now available at 5 o'clock.
So is this gonna be a 9-hour meeting,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that one?
Something just came up.
That's gonna be a 9-hour meeting.
All right, we already know 2 or 3 subjects that we know we need to go back to in general fund.
5 o'clock. So we're deleting the one next Tuesday, the 23rd.
All right.
Like I said, Mr. Bloom and I talked about that today when we spoke earlier.
By firing me.
All right, so, anything else for the good of the cause? We're down to discussion and public participation.
Put me out of my misery.
Mr. Mayor. It's your turn.
This is from the desk of the police chief. Today, Williston, Florida Police Department assisted the Alachua County Sheriff's Department with the apprehension of a suspect in an attempted murder that occurred this morning in Alachua County. With the quick response from our on-duty officers and communications division, the suspect was taken into custody and transferred to the Alachua County Sheriff's detectives. We would like to point out that this incident is a great example of the teamwork, and it represents the commitment that our agency has to safeguard our citizens and community from individuals like this that are in our midst. Thank you.
Hooray! Please, Chief, tell me about it. It was a great story.
And I can tell you, so far we put it on Facebook, it's been on there about an hour. We've got 106 likes, 13 comments, some of them which read, awesome job, WPD. WPD for the win. Great job by all concerned. Great job, officers. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you, Williston Police Department. Great job.
Thank you. It is a terrific job. We appreciate it. I loved the picture that was on the flyer here.
Yeah, like this.
That was just great.
There was somebody there.
Telling him to stick his hands out the window,
There
huh?
was somebody there.
Yes. Oh, were you the one there? I love it.
Yeah, there was 3 of us there, myself, Captain Portney, and Detective Officer.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was safely done, and he is behind bars, and y'all are home safe tonight.
Council President, do you want me to give one to the department heads back?
If you will give, yes, whatever you have left, hand them
I
out.
don't need one. Thank you.
What we are handing out at the moment is something that I received via email this afternoon. It is to the City Council from Jackie Gorman, City Manager, subject resignation. With a heavy heart, I am respectfully submitting my official resignation effective September 16th, 30 days per my contract. This will allow me to get through most of the budget process and clean up some of the unfinished business in my office. I have loved working for Williston and want the best for all the employees. Thank you all for your support these past 4 years. So we will put this on the agenda for our next City Council meeting, but I wanted you to know that I had received it. Anything else in public participation? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Just one moment, let me make an
Sorry.
announcement.
You're not quick enough. Go for it.
Just next Tuesday, voting here in the R. Gerald Health Community Center from 7 to 7.
Thank you for reminding us. Okay, do I have a,
Move that meeting. We'd have been in here meeting, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think we've done that.
If we wouldn't have canceled, we would've been in here meeting.
Oh, yes, we would have.
During the
That's
vote.
right. Very good point.
okay, motion for adjournment? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Let's go home. 8:15.
I believe I need to.